First party Xbox games have posted some insane numbers. Fanboys, gaming community are melting down over the Activision Blizzard announcement yesterday. Plus, we got an update from Sarah Bond on the future of the Xbox store. Welcome back to another video, guys. If you enjoy daily content, make sure to hit that subscribe button. So we got some player count numbers for some of Xbox's biggest first-party games, and they are doing extremely well. Now, what's most interesting about all of this is that we saw an interview the other day with Phil Spencer, and he was talking about how Xbox kind of measures the success and where they want to see their games. And what they want to see is more people ever than before playing their first party games. Phil Spencer specifically talked about how he really loved the Forza Horizon 5 and the Halo stats, and how he liked that more people played Psychonauts 2 over Psychonauts 1. And he wants to have Starfield be the most played Todd Howard game. And then he wants more people in 5 years playing World of Warcraft and playing Call of Duty, and a lot of this has to do with the strategy of Xbox getting these available on multiple different screens. No matter where you play, just opens up the ecosystem to way more people, which will end up with much larger numbers, which will help push forward a lot of these services that Xbox is going to be offering. Now we take a look at the numbers here. We have Sea of Thieves at 25+ million players, which Sea of Thieves to me is one of the best success stories, because this was a Rare project, and when Microsoft purchased Rare, we hadn't really seen too much out of that purchase. It was something that has taken a while, or took a while, to really come to fruition, and boy has it paid off with Sea of Thieves. Even when that game first released, I think there was a lot of doubt that it would be as big as it is today, but really is doing well. Halo Infinite instantly at 20+ million players, and that will most likely continue to grow as they add more content, as they fix all of the bugs. That's still always going to be a work in progress, as it is a live service game continuously with the seasons and the battle pass and all that type of stuff. Forza Horizon 5, 18+ million players, and probably the greatest racing game ever made to date. I mean, you look at it, you play it, you're just in awe of how fun it is and just how great it looks and runs and feels. Minecraft Dungeons, 15+ million players. Now that's a kind of offshoot from Minecraft. It's more of like an RPG style of game, and 15+ billion players for that is pretty big. And I mean, Minecraft is such a huge IP, it does make sense that people are wanting to jump in and try a game with the Minecraft name on it. And then we have here Grounded. Now this is another, I think, just really awesome success story, because Grounded comes from Obsidian, and I mean, it's a completely different style of game than Obsidian has ever made. An open world sandbox game where you're a kid who's shrunken and you're in a backyard, and it's a crafting game and a building game, kind of similar to, I would say, Minecraft in that sense. And man, it's taken off. I played this game when it first came out in the preview, and I played a decent amount of hours in it. I haven't gotten back to it. I know there's been updates and they're continuing to update, but what's crazy as well about Grounded is that the final release hasn't even come out yet. In fact, they did like a thank you video thanking people for getting it to 10 million players, and they've mentioned here that they are doing another update before the actual final update and the final release of Grounded. So we'll see what it's all about when it's officially released, and if that changes the game, but I'm sure they'll continue to grow it and add content. So I think this is just a success story right now with Xbox first party games. I mean, this is the direction they wanted to go. This is why they have the ecosystem and why they have people playing across multiple devices, and is proving that that strategy is working. Phil Spencer can show this to Microsoft, to the higher ups, to Nadella and all that type of stuff, and say, hey, this strategy is working. And because it's working, this is why we're seeing things like Nadella come out and say that they're all in on gaming, why Xbox is able to spend $68.7 billion and acquire a company like Activision, because the current strategy they have right now is successful. All right, yesterday we had this announcement here from the president and vice chair of Microsoft, Brad Smith, and the big takeaway from all of this was that Xbox and Microsoft themselves are adapting to upcoming regulations, specifically for their app stores with like PC and just general computing needs, where it doesn't have anything to do with gaming, but as well with the gaming side of things. They specifically touched on the Activision Blizzard deal, where they mentioned down here that they are going to be keeping further Call of Duty games beyond the existing agreements on PlayStation, and then hopefully try to bring some of these games over to Nintendo. And this seems to have a lot of people just kind of melting down over it, which is kind of crazy to think about, kind of crazy for me to think about. I think it's absolutely absurd that people are getting this angry over this announcement. So if you type in Activision Blizzard, the hashtag, you'll go down and you'll see a lot of people talking about it, saying that, making fun of Xbox and saying that they've kind of not going the way that the community wants them to go, and that they should be keeping these games completely exclusive on the Xbox ecosystem, and that they're kind of letting down the fans currently right now who have been supporting Xbox from the beginning. Now, there's something that's really interesting about all of this. I mean, you can scroll through, you can see people's comments. People are making fun of each other, you know, everything that goes on with the console wars, the kind of ridiculousness of it, and sometimes it's funny to laugh at. But we look at this statement here. Let's read it again. To be clear, Microsoft will continue to make Call of Duty and other popular Activision Blizzard titles available on PlayStation through the term of any existing agreement with Activision, and we have committed to Sony that we will also make them available on PlayStation beyond the existing agreement and into the future, so that Sony fans can continue to enjoy the games they love. We are also interested in taking similar steps to support Nintendo's successful platform. We believe this is the right thing for the industry, for gamers, and for our business. So right there, I mean, they mention it. They say Call of Duty going to be going on to PlayStation going forward, even after the existing agreements, which is not something that is that surprising. I think why people are so upset by this announcement is because they're looking at this from the point of view that Xbox is going to be taking all upcoming new IPs from Activision Blizzard and putting them on PlayStation and Nintendo. And a lot of people within the Xbox community, or at least on social media, which we have to keep in mind, social media represents a very, very small amount of the overall scope of people playing games on Xbox and through the ecosystem. But a lot of people within the social media Xbox gaming community want to see these games locked exclusively to the Xbox ecosystem, like they're going to be doing with a brand new IP such as Starfield. And people are upset because they're reading this and thinking that's not going to happen. Now, if you reread that paragraph, it's really just marketing talk, and they mention nothing about new IPs. So there is still, I think, a very high chance that they are going to pretty much just follow what they have done with Bethesda. I previously was going through it and I'm like, okay, they're going in a different route, but sitting back, rereading it, and understanding what they're saying here, all they're saying is pretty much that they are following along the same lines as Bethesda. You think about a game like Elder Scrolls Online, and that's comparable to a Call of Duty game where the community is just so established across multiple different platforms. They play the game every year, they pick it up every single year, and it's a game that is now essentially a live service game that gets an update with the campaign and the multiplayer, but it's one complete package where you get access to Warzone, the year's Call of Duty release, and then even last year's Call of Duty release, and you get it all there. And that is something that they're going to be keeping on PlayStation and potentially the Nintendo Switch or whatever next Nintendo product they put out going forward. It really is no different than what they're doing with Bethesda. Now, if there is a brand new game that comes out from Activision Blizzard, a game that does not have an established community, I would be personally surprised if they take that and they put that on every other platform. I think they're going to continue to put that type of stuff locked to the Xbox ecosystem. Now, does it really matter at the end of the day? For me personally, I couldn't care less about all of this exclusivity stuff. It's interesting to talk about, it's interesting to speculate, and it's why I talk about it in my videos, but at the end of the day, I don't care, because Xbox, you're going to be getting all of these games no matter what on Xbox Game Pass. You're paying a monthly fee that is much cheaper than paying full price for the game, and it's just such great value for what we're getting, and that's what all that really matters to me. I don't gain anything from other people not experiencing and playing games. In fact, with a game like Call of Duty, since it is crossplay, you kind of really want that game everywhere. You want it on PlayStation, you want it on Nintendo if that was ever able to happen, PC, everywhere, because then you have just way more people to play with. So I mean, the meltdowns are crazy. It's kind of absurd to think that Xbox is like letting down their fans and their community. I think that's just kind of nonsense. And people need to keep in mind that, hey, Xbox, Microsoft, their company, they're there to make money. They're going to make the decision not to appease social media and console warriors. They're going to make a decision that makes them the most money. And I've said this all the time, this generation, is that they're doing the smart business moves to make the most money with not having console exclusivity and putting their games on Steam, on PC, and just putting games everywhere where they get way more people playing them. And these moves are not only making them the most money, but they're also giving us just great value, and they're extremely consumer friendly, and they are pushing the industry to, I think, a great direction, which is getting rid of console exclusives. We'll still have exclusive stuff like the ecosystem, but the choice of being able to play on multiple platforms is what I love to see. Now, further to the post yesterday, I talked about the app stores and the changes they're making to things like the Windows stores, and really making them more open for developers so that they can make money within their own apps and stuff like that. Lots of great changes if you're a developer, so that's great to see. But these changes they were making, they weren't all going to be applied to the Xbox store, because the regulation that's coming in doesn't really affect the Xbox store. They don't have to make some of the changes that they mentioned, although they are making changes, and they're going to add more changes in the future. Here's one that is very interesting to look at, because Sarah Bond commented on this in an interview with Axios, and it says here, a future Xbox store could replace Microsoft's industry standard 30% store revenue commission for game creators with a flexible one that would factor in which of Xbox services they wanted to use. And here's exactly what it means. Microsoft justifies the current model, which grants Microsoft a 30% take of Xbox store revenue, as one based on consoles being sold at a loss. And I mean, that's kind of what happens with all of these different storefronts and with all of these consoles. Consoles are sold at a loss, and to make up that revenue, to make up those money that you're losing on that, you got to make it on the software and the deals you're making with developers for putting their games on your devices and in your stores. Continues on here to say, in a new store, developers would someday be able to choose to use Microsoft's payment system and other services such as streaming tech or not. We're going to evolve the business model to support how much of the functionality we're providing them that they adopt. Developers now, if they do this, are just going to have way more choice on how they want to get their games out there, and probably will incentivize a lot of these developers to put their games onto Xbox Game Pass, utilize the cloud services, so that, hey, Microsoft gets games into their service, gets content to add value to the service, get people to sign up for that subscription, which in the long run makes them way more money. And then the developers get a great deal as well by not having to pay as much commission for doing that and putting their games on Xbox. So I think this is all great stuff. I mean, this is all positive stuff to look at, and we'll see how it all pans out in the future. The Activision Blizzard exclusivity stuff, again, we're not going to know the full extent to it until I think the deal is completed. And a lot of the stuff we're seeing now is because Microsoft and Xbox really want to make sure that the deal gets approved and there's no roadblocks. That's it for me, guys. What are your thoughts on the player numbers for the Xbox first party games? And let me know what you think about all of the reactions to the Activision Blizzard announcement yesterday from Brad Smith. Thank you guys all for watching. Thank you for your support, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye.